Hey, welcome back to the Full Force Fathers podcast, Dave. It is episode number 64. We are now into June. It is hot as heck out here in Arizona. That is for damn sure. Yeah, it's amazing. You know how it is now. It's 105, 110 every single day. No reprieve. So, what's going on, man?
Yeah, you are locked into the sweltering heat for the next 4 months, 4 or 5 months. We'll see you cool down around Halloween, which is always fantastic. But hey, you got a pool in the backyard, man. Life's got to be good there in Tucson.
Yeah, it's
Seems like
nice.
it'd be pretty great.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Everything's just kind of rolling along summertime, with activities with the kids and track club and this, that, and the other thing. So,
Yeah.
it's funny. We're episode 64, and this is a totally random thought. 64 teams in March Madness. That's what I was just thinking about, right? Because
Ooh,
and then
yeah.
the other thing is, if you guys are Beatles fans, I'm a big time fan of the Beatles. There's a song called "When I'm 64." Go listen to it. It's pretty cool. It's funny actually.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a good song, and it's called "When I'm 64."
I don't know that I knew you were a big fan of the Beatles. I never heard that come out of your mouth.
Yeah, I mean,
Big fan of the Beatles.
It's weird because now all the kids listen to is country music, so we don't really have a choice. Like whatever the kids want to listen to in the car is usually what I listen to. And I don't have Sirius XM, so when I used to, I would always just put on the Beatles channel because I enjoy music back then. And I mean, I like old music better than new music, but I like all music. But yeah, I love the Beatles. I think they're great.
Was that back in the day Sirius XM was getting put on a credit card, or you just got the free trial with the vehicle?
Only the free trial. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
I never
I
went.
figured you'd never pay for something like that. A
I would never.
service? Not a chance.
My father pays for it. It's one thing like my dad says you can never live without because he gets like baseball games and shit on there,
Yeah.
I mean, Sirius XM is cool not having commercials, but they still know how to put commercials in there. They still have to pay advertising. There's still advertising dollars.
Well, in most stations are just actual stations too. Like they have like a lot of regular radio stations on there now.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
Yeah.
But one of the things that drove me craziest with Sirius XM, this is so random, but like you know how like if you lose a radio station, it kind of like you hear the song and it just kind of goes like kind of like you're crackling and stuff.
Yeah.
Sirius XM, you don't have that. So if you like drive under a tree or in a bridge, like you're just hearing a song, like you're rocking out, and all of a sudden it goes dead silent.
It just goes away.
I want to lose my mind when that happens.
Yeah,
it literally drives me clinically insane when that happens.
Well, that's the real difference, right, between satellite radio, where a signal can get blocked, and an AM/FM radio, which is radio waves, right? It's not.
Yeah.
They just go through the sky. That's why you can like go. I mean, granted, even on a radio, an AM/FM radio, you can go through a tunnel and it still gets staticky, but you can still hear stuff when you get the straight cutout. Lost, and then it says lost signal on the screen.
Yeah, it's great.
Do you have
fun.
Do you have Sirius XM in your car?
No, not anymore.
No. Yeah,
they're basically offering to pay for it for me now to take it. I keep getting these offers, but I'm just.
Oh yeah, you get them in the mail.
I don't want to pay for it. I just don't think it's worth it. I mean, I ended up getting rid of it during COVID when I was like, I'm never driving anymore. I never drive, so I was like, I just got rid of it. I never got it back. I just don't really miss it because I'm not in the car that often. And when I am in the car now, I'm usually talking to either you or my dad on my drive. So that about wraps up my time in the car.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's kind of like how it goes. I mean, it's just I don't drive a whole lot, as you know, anyways. So I mean, for me to have something like that, yeah, I remember getting all those envelopes in the mail that would say $50 for the year or whatever, and I'm thinking to myself, no. But you know what they do? You know how they try to get you? If you sometimes in my truck, sometimes like around the holidays, they have like when you look at my screen in my truck, like the satellite radio thing is like blurred out, and then if I click it, it says call this number to subscribe. Around holiday weekends and stuff, they'll give you like 24 hours or 48 hours of like a free 2 days, and like that's how they get you, right? You're like, oh wait, it works. Oh, this is so cool. You know what I mean? I'm listening to 70s on 7 or 80s on 8 or whatever it is. You're like, this is awesome. But the girls hate it anyways because they don't like anything but country music, my kids. So they don't want to listen to anything but that. So for me, it would be kind of useless because when I do drive, they're usually always with me anyway. So
I consider it to be helpful on like a road trip. So you don't have to keep searching for a radio station all the time. That's when it's like super helpful. But other than that, I don't think that it's very needed.
And other times, if it's me, if I'm driving by myself, I just connect my phone and listen to a podcast anyway. So, I
Yeah,
don't really,
exactly.
I don't like to listen to, I love music, but I don't listen to a ton of music. So, anyways,
Yeah.
but yeah, so we got episode 64. Um, Good one in store. One main topic we're going to talk about today. But let's hop in. Listen, it's going to be quick. Number 64, Dave, is tough.
Yeah, not so great. Not so great. Really beg, borrow, and stealing here to get people on the list. A
Yeah.
few NFL guys. The first, Randall McDaniel. He was a guard for the Minnesota Vikings for a lot of years. End of his career, he ended with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was an All-Pro he was named to the All-Pro team 9 consecutive seasons. He was a Pro Bowler for 12 of his 14 years. So he had a great career. He had one season where he allowed 1.5 sacks that year, which is pretty impressive.
That's pretty
And
impressive.
he was on a Vikings team. I think it was their second highest or second best ratio. They were allowing only a sack every 22 and a half pass attempts. So pretty solid. He was pretty good. I threw in here for you, Dave Wilcox, a linebacker for the 49ers back in the day. I think he was like late 60s, early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I think he picked up 12 fumbles in the course of his career, had a few interceptions, 1 touchdown. So he seemed like he was pretty legit. They called him the Intimidator. Didn't know that, but kind of cool. And I added George Blanda to the list. Now you might say he's number 16. Yes, he is number 16 for the majority of career, but he had one season where he was number 64. And the interesting thing about George Blanda, for those of you who don't know, he played 26 seasons in the NFL, which is a
Mm-hmm.
really, really long time.
That's a long
And
time.
he was a quarterback and a kicker at the same time, which is pretty cool. So he had a stretch I was reading in one season of 4 games where he had game-winning drives in a row where he either threw a touchdown pass for the win or kicked a field goal for the win. It's like, that's amazing. How cool is that?
You want to talk about a what would you call that? A 5-tool athlete, like a Mike
5-star player. Yeah.
You're literally a quarterback and the kicker.
It's awesome.
Well, think about the threat. You could like fake punt. Was he a punter too, or just the kicker?
I don't know if he was a punter. I think he was just a place kicker.
Perfect guy for a fake field goal because you snap it to the kicker, to the holder, and he just tosses it to him and he launches one.
Yeah. Even better, usually the holder in those situations is the backup quarterback. So you can kick it back. They can just throw the ball back and forth till somebody gets open down the field. How great would that be? That's not a bad idea.
That is phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
Yeah. Hey, and you're a resident hockey guy, so I put a couple hockey guys in there.
Actually, I can't believe you didn't put the hockey guy in there that I put in there because
I know I thought about it, but I just didn't know anything about him.
How do you say Mikhail Granlund?
I think it's Michael.
Michael, he's from Finland. He's Finnish, but he's also a center and an alternate captain of your Nashville Predators.
Hometown team. That's right, hometown team.
So there you go. There's a guy in there, and then I've heard of Jamie McGinn before. He also is in here, so I know.
I have not.
You've never heard of Jamie McGinn?
No.
Okay. Anyways, well, that's your listen. That's your hockey players. That's really your players 64 in general. There's no baseball players, no basketball players, famous 64. So, anyways, so let's hop into today's episode because today's episode has one overarching topic, and you're probably like, Brett, why are you going into the topic without reading the Bible? Well, the Bible verse has something to do with the topic, and today's topic is alcohol. And we're going to kind of touch on it a little bit. And this was kind of Dave's idea here, which I'm all for because I'm all for health. And so I'm going to open up the Bible here into Proverbs, in Proverbs chapter 23. It starts at saying 19, but it's really, verses, I don't even know how you want to say how to do it. You could start it at verse 19, or you can start it at saying 19, because Proverbs 23 is part of the 30 sayings of the wise, which start in 22, but it really just talks about alcohol. So I'm going to start at 29 and go from 29 to 35 in Proverbs chapter 23. And it reads, who has woe, who has sorrow, who has strife, who has complaint, who has needless bruises, who has bloodshot eyes? Those who linger over wine, who go to sample bowls of mixed wine, Do not gaze at wine when it is red, when it sparkles in the cup, when it goes down smoothly. In the end, it bites like a snake and poisons like a viper. Your eyes will see strange sights, and your mind will imagine confusing things. You will be like one sleeping on the high seas, lying on top of the rigging. They hit me, you will say, but I am not hurt. They beat me, but I don't feel it. When will I wake up so I can find another drink? Okay, there's many, many parts of the Bible that speak of alcohol. In that same chapter, in 23, I'm pretty sure right here. Listen, my son. This is verse saying 16, verse 19. Listen, my son, and be wise, and set your heart on the right path. Do not join those who drink too much wine, or gorge themselves on meat. For drunkards and gluttons become poor, and drowsiness close them in rags. Close like close, not close the door. Them in rags. Um, that's today's overarching topic. And I am very much against alcohol. I know, Dave, you don't drink ever anymore, or at all, or maybe once in a blue moon kind of thing. And I stopped drinking. And Dave and I both need to say this too. We were not alcoholics. We were just casual drinkers. Like we would drink at it. And I go over to Dave's and hang out in the pool, have a couple beers. Go to Dave's for dinner and have a glass of wine. Have a shot of this every once in a while, right? We were not drink. We were what I guess you'd quote unquote call social drinkers, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would call it. I mean, I listen. I like to have a cold beer every once in a while, but no, it's not a regular thing. So for us coming from this side of things, it's know that it's not coming from a place where we ever over used alcohol for extended periods of time, but I think both of us have had a history of it in our family, which has
Mhm.
kind of highlighted some of the real negatives to it.
Yeah. And listen, did everyone like the party ever? Dude, I could throw them back and have a party just like everybody else could. So to to think that I'm some saint, that's not the case. I there was many a times where he probably drank way too much and had a few embarrassing moments. But it has been, and I looked this up actually for the show because June 6th, right? Um by the way, side note, I'm 3 days into phase 3 of 75 hard, which is really cool. Um so that just keeps alcohol out of the equation, not that I care. So anyway, so back when Dave originally did this is my no alcohol kind of journey. Back in the day, this is a long time ago now, when Dave first did 75 hard in 2020. So we're over 3 years ago now. Um, Dave's like, hey, I'm doing this thing called 75 hard. I said, oh, that's cool. Wait, what is it? Dave told me and blah, blah, blah. And like, the story, if you listen to 75 hard episode, I'm like, oh, Dave's not going to do this. There's no fucking way he's going to do it. It wasn't the alcohol. It was the 75 hard that I told him he wasn't going to be able to do. But anyway, so it really just kind of triggered me because alcoholism, there are a few people in my family very near and dear that one no longer here, one still here, that are alcoholics. They were alcoholics or are or recovering. Um, and when he said hard, no alcohol, I'm like, oh, that's the easy part, alcohol part, you know what I mean? Because you drink once or twice a month or whatever. But that's when I started. So when I did 75 hard for the first time, 2021, January 4th, which was Finley's third birthday. That was the day of her birthday party. You guys came over, Sam came over, and Ashley and stuff. And I had, Sam had brought Coors Light over, and we had a couple beers together, and it was, we got pizzas and stuff, and we're hanging out. That was the last sip of alcohol I've taken. So I looked it up. Not that I care. I'm not a bit. I used to be a street guy, and I was reading through one of my old journals the other day because I used to journal a lot. And I was telling Dave, I said, Dave, I used to write down what I ate, what I did, how long my streaks were, whatever they were. And so today is 883 days since I've had a sip of alcohol of any kind of alcohol. It's been 883 days. And that's a long fucking time, by the way. 2.5 full years. And like, holy shit, I'm like, I don't even think about it. Like, it doesn't bother me to think about it. I don't ever think about alcohol. I need to have a drink, anything like that. I was like, holy shit, dude, 883 days. Like, so much has happened in the world in the last 883 days. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, the world's a completely different place right now. It is. It's a really long time, and it's an impressive streak, even for just a person who likes to, have a casual drink. I mean, not doing anything for 883 days is a lot.
Yeah.
So kudos to you. And I mean, I know we've talked about it a lot. The benefits that you've seen by not consuming it are immense.
Oh my god, dude! You just don't. Listen, you never have to worry. First of all, you never get hung. You're never hungover. You don't ever have to
Yeah.
worry about being hungover. Because
It's the
listen,
worst
it's the
feeling
worst
in the
feeling.
world.
Yeah, and you think about it. Everyone thinks about it. Why the fuck did I drink last night? I feel like such shit this morning, right?
And, yeah, I don't get it. I mean, and I really was like, I never went to the point, like, I say never. I think 3 times in my life I got to the point where I was just completely like drunk, like sick and totally hungover 3 times in my life. And
Yeah.
the last time I was like, I could never do that again. And then when we had kids, I was like, can you imagine
Hmm.
being drunk and hungover? You wake up and your kids are there, like ready to go for the day, like they always are
Hmm.
at 6 a.m. would be the most painful day of my life.
Oh
So
my god.
since we had kids, I've never been to that point. It's just not worth it. The feeling, whatever feeling you have that you can't even remember from when you're doing it, is certainly not worth the payback you have to pay the next day to
Dude,
recover from that.
it is the worst. Worst. You sweat, you stink,
Oh,
your stomach is just fucking it's like a washing machine. It's just fucking just stirring
oh,
around. You feel like shit. You're gonna shit way too much. You're gonna be miserable in the bathroom, and
yeah.
it, it it's
I
it's
just dizzy all the time, and
yeah.
like I just want to just die at
You
that
just
point. Like
yeah,
it's
dude.
awful.
And it makes you wonder
Just
why ever act like that. You know what I mean? And listen, don't get me wrong. I
yeah,
am, like I said, I'm not saying, dude, I've had more than enough nights in my life where I've been belligerent and just, the next day, dude, you are done. But just, dude, just one drink, one fucking drink at night before you go to bed. You are not the same person the next morning. I don't care what anybody says. One glass of
oh yeah.
wine, one beer. First of all, from a health standpoint, there's literally zero health benefits. No, and there are some studies out there that say, a glass of red wine every once in a while is good for your heart. Good. Guess what? There's so many more non-benefits
Yeah,
to alcohol that don't outweigh that one benefit to having a glass of
yeah.
red wine every once in a while. And you know what I mean? And 75 Hard was really the catalyst for me because it changed the way that I thought about it, right? Like,
Hmm.
you never even think about it because it's because this country, about the thing about alcohol in this country is it's kind of what pisses me off the most about it is it is shoved down your fucking throat all the fucking time. Every fucking ad, every sports team, every fucking stadium, every every
Everywhere.
every tournament, everything is sponsored by an alcohol
Hmm.
company, right? But there is
Hmm.
it is but the sheer amount of fucking bad that comes, there's literally no good that comes of it. None. Like, listen, you want to celebrate, commiserate, whatever it is, go for it. But there's no amount of good that comes from alcohol that will ever outweigh the amount of bad. The car accidents, the deaths, it just and
Over
it's
ten,
but
over 10,000 people every year die from an alcohol-related accident, driving
ten
accident.
thousand.
Hmm. Over
Yeah,
10,000 a year.
listen,
That's astonishing. That's an astonishing number. I
yeah,
mean, think about the lives you're putting at risk, not just your own, but we're talking about the other people are out there that don't know
yeah,
that you're driving drunk, that
yeah,
don't even see it coming. The lives that you're ruining by drinking and driving, by doing something stupid because you can't think clearly.
yeah, yeah.
We're at a day and
It's
age where there's zero reason, in my opinion, there's zero reason that every single car doesn't have an automatic breathalyzer test that you have to blow into every time you get in your car.
yeah,
I know
yeah,
that might sound ridiculous to some people, but there's
yeah,
a very easy way to prevent a lot of those accidents. Now you could say, oh, they could just have somebody else blowing it. Yeah, that's
yeah,
possible, but
yeah.
it'll cut down on a significant portion of them.
Well, guess what though? Here's the deal. If you have someone else blowing it, that's on you because that means you have a
Yep.
problem.
Yeah. And a lot
You
of
know what I
people do,
mean?
but that's why they won't do it. And it makes so much money in the taxes that come off of it that go back to the cities, the states, and the government. They're never going to do something like that. It's not
No,
worth it. Just, I mean,
and
you look back to COVID and what were the places that were closed? The gyms were closed.
but the
The
package stores
local,
were
the
open.
local, the local restaurants were closed, but the
Yeah,
fast food joints and the package stores were all open. Go figure, right?
yeah, dude. American Diet wants you in American hospital under American health
Yeah.
care. taking
Yep.
American pharmaceuticals, baby. It's a fucking. I don't give a shit. I'll argue with anybody till the day I die. The American,
Absolutely.
that is it is a fucking game of greed. That's all it
Yep.
is. Lining pockets,
Yep.
people to get rich. So they need alcohol because they need all of it. They need every bit of the disease. They need every bit of the profits that they get from it. But it's funny.
Yeah.
You know, you preach, don't drink, don't drive, don't do all these things. But every football tailgate is sponsored by Budweiser, Bud Light, Coors Light, fucking this one, fucking that one. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
there's one thing I will say. As you know me, I am anti-technology, and I think the world that we live in is so fucking backwards. It's not even funny with the AI that's coming down the chute and all other stuff. But one thing I will say, whoever invented Uber, I harped on you last week about Uber Eats and DoorDash and all that other bullshit, right? Because you're lazy and you're a piece of shit and you want to go get your own food. But there is advantages. You never have to drink and drive, never, because if you don't have a DD, Uber, somebody's out there driving a fucking Uber.
Yeah, that's different. We ragged on Uber Eats and Grubhub.
Yeah,
where people are too lazy to go get their food.
yeah.
But the principle of it, being able to take a taxi somewhere and just easily get one, that's fantastic. What an incredible service that is. Because you're right. You never have to drink and drive because, quite honestly, the price of your ride is probably going to be less than 2 or 3 drinks at a bar.
Yeah.
So just factor that into your night and plan for it.
Yeah. And dude, you can walk home, unless you live like in a scary place or whatever. That's why Uber's there. Like, there's no reason to ever get behind the wheel and drink and drive under any circumstances. Not in 2023. Yeah. Not in 2023. Because guess what? It ruins your life. It's not like it used to be. I know a guy who back in the 70s was drinking and driving. Cop just followed him home, said, "Go home, you're good to go, man." Right?
Yeah.
They don't do that no more, man. It ruins your life.
No.
It ruins your life financially.
Oh yeah, the amount of court fees and lawyer fees to get yourself out of a situation like that's mind-boggling.
And guess what?
Destroy you.
Drinking and driving will force you to have to call Uber because you didn't want to call Uber the night that you were drunk.
Well, and then if you can't get a license, you're gonna have a hard time keeping a job. You're gonna have a hard time doing all those things. So it just spirals and continues to just make your life worse. For those of you who listen to the show on a regular basis, I enjoy statistics and throwing some into certain shows. So I've got a few for you here. So this is from a study in 2019. 414,000 adolescents between the ages of 12 and 17 had an alcohol use disorder. 400 plus thousand kids starting at the age of 12 up to 17, an alcohol-related disorder. So that's just over-consuming, having a problem where you have to get checked in, detox. Like that is terrifying that we let that many kids drink. Here's another one for you. 25% of teens ages 14 and 15 reported at least having one alcoholic drink. And 7 million kids aged 12 to 20 reportedly drank in the last month when this survey was done. 7 million kids under the age of 21 drinking alcohol in a month. And here's one that to me is wild. People ages 12 to 20 consume 4% of all the alcohol in the United States.
So 4% of alcohol consumption is done by underage people.
Yep. I think that's a big number. I don't know about you, but that's, man, it's the fact that we're allowing our kids to go and use this thing that we know is terrible and just allow them to do it. Like you don't know that it's happening. That's a bunch of bullshit. You know it's happening, right? And you're just letting it happen. Why? Because you want to be their friend. You don't want to be the parent. You don't want to punish them. Kids are going to be kids, right? Kids are going to be kids. It's disheartening. And I remember growing up and there were parents in a friend group that just would allow the kids to drink at their house. That was okay. Well, at least they're doing it here. It's okay. They're doing it here.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it okay. Especially when you're having other friends over. Nobody's going to leave. We're just going to stay here. That still doesn't make it okay. I just don't understand. To me, that's a big part of the problem with this is parents not being parents.
It's not a big part. It's a huge part of the problem. Because like we've said before, kids pay attention to everything that you do. If you're a drunk,
Mm-hmm.
they're probably going to drink. If you're fat, they're going to be fat, right? If you're fit and super healthy and you eat well and you run and you exercise, they're going to want to do the same shit. Okay. If you love being outside and going exploring, they're going to want to do the same thing, right? And I'm going to stop you right
Mm-hmm.
there because I have my Bible in front of me. We've said this one before, but it's Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. Start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it. Okay? That falls 100% burden on the shoulder of the parents, as full force fathers, as full force mothers, as parents in general. It falls 100%. Yes, you are enabling. Parents are the great enablers, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're the, you want to be the cool parent. You want to be the this. It's not cool when a 17-year-old kid gets killed in a car accident because he was at home drinking and then he was just running to a friend's house or something, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no specific situation. We're just saying that in general. Being the cool parents and letting your kids drink is, not that cool, but, and I'm not going to say I don't, because when I was 16 years old, of course, there was always a parent or two that allowed you to hang out, you know, and I'm not making excuses for those parents. But one thing is, you weren't going anywhere. Excuse me. If we were at a house there, and a parent, let you have a beer or something, you weren't going anywhere. You weren't going home. You were sleeping over the house
Mm-hmm.
that night. End of story. You weren't getting behind the wheel. You for sure weren't going to fucking drive anywhere. You were stuck at the house. Now, I'm not saying that's correct, but I'm not as, like I said, I'm not a saint. And we did my fair share of partying as in high school and college, but for parents that do it all the time, if you're an alcoholic, your kids see that every day. If you have alcohol at the ready all the time, you have a bar in the house, you have a freaking liquor cabinet somewhere. You know what I mean? It is literal poison that can kill you. And
Yeah.
you leave it just 100%, accessible to a 12-year-old or dude, listen, you see the shit they put on TV? We couldn't even watch a show on fucking Netflix or Paramount or some bullshit the other night that then wasn't talking about fucking, I don't even know what it was. What was I talking to you about? Fucking talking about sex to their 3-year-old or 4-year-old. Like, get the fuck out
Yeah.
of here. So if you think you're naive, if you think that the kids aren't getting the shit fed to them in school, on TV, on their iPads, on this, on that,
Yeah.
advertisement, this, you're a liar and you're lying to yourself.
In a study done in 2022, 1 in 10 kids live with a parent who has a drinking problem or they
Yeah, oh yeah,
overconsume.
I believe it.
10% of kids. Can you imagine? 1 out of every 10 kids goes home to a family that somebody's got a drinking problem, and that's exactly what they see.
I'd
That's what
like
they
to,
think is normal.
especially these COVID kids, right? I'd like to see how many alcoholics COVID created. How many drunks did COVID create? People that lost jobs, living on Biden bucks or in stimulus money. How many freaking alcohol? I'm sure there's a number out there, but how many alcoholics did COVID create? Because it didn't
So,
matter. You didn't listen. You didn't have to even get. You didn't have to get dressed, Dave. You did not even have to get out of bed. You throw a t-shirt on. You're on a fucking
so
Zoom call.
alcohol and COVID-19 statistics. There's a study out there that has predicted that the increased alcohol consumption during the pandemic, so just what the extra during the pandemic was, is going to lead to an additional 8,000 deaths from alcohol-related liver disease, 18,000 plus liver failure, and over 1,000 cases of cancer by 2040.
Yeah, and the amount of cancers that you can get from being an
Yeah.
alcoholic. Obviously, everybody knows it's your liver, right? Dude, it's your liver that But dude, there's so many things: high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, freaking not liver cancer, liver disease, freaking problems going to the bathroom,
Hypertension.
digestive problems, freaking cancer, all sorts of
Yeah.
cancer you can get from fucking alcohol, colon cancer, liver cancer. You can get throat cancer from it. Your immune system is dog shit if you're an alcoholic. I'm sorry, you are
Mhm.
sick more. You get sick over if you're an alcoholic, any little fucking germ that comes around you, you're gonna get sick because your immune system's shot to shit. Because your body's working
Yeah.
15 times harder to try to fucking fight off all the bullshit that you're ingesting in your system. You're gonna be
Mhm.
There's a good chance, unless you're a smoker, alcoholism and smokers usually tend to be skinny people just because. But a lot of times if you're an alcoholic, you eat like fucking garbage, so you're gonna have
Yeah.
you're gonna have weight issues.
We won't even talk about the effects of alcohol on people. Alcohol-related deaths, 22% are suicide. So most people, a lot of people are using this as an escape from their problems in life, and ultimately it ends up making it worse because of all the problems we outlined with it. 22% are suicide related deaths. I mean,
Yeah.
that's staggering number.
And if you go to the CDC's website, right? Go to the CDC website. You know what? One of the they call it harms alcohol and harming your health. One of the things
Hmm.
on the CDC website says poor school performance. So that just tells you right there, the majority of fucking school is underage kids. So poor school performance. They put it
Wow.
on the CDC website. Poor school performance, memory
Wow.
issues. I mean, it's listen. I'm not saying adults don't go back to school and get their degrees and all that other
Yeah,
shit,
but it's not the majority. That's
but
not
it's
where the
but it's
majority is
not
coming
it's
from.
not the majority, right?
No,
It's 21 and under
no.
for college. Usually you're done with college if you graduate high school at 17, 18. College if you do the 4-year plan, 21, 22 years
Yep.
old. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
It's by not to mention what's the other thing they always talk about college? You put on your freshman 15, right? Because you're fucking partying
Yeah.
all the time. You're eating fucking fried foods. Listen, once again,
Yep.
I'm a huge advocate of not drinking. I don't care if you drink. I just think the basis of our show, we would be doing a disservice to those parents that do drink that don't understand the ramifications of you drinking all the time and the effects it has on you as a parent. Because let me tell you, if you're an alcoholic, you're not a good. You can still be a good dad, but your parenting is way off if you're an alcoholic. You are nowhere.
Yeah.
You are not a full force father if you're an alcoholic. You're not.
No, it's impossible. You can't be engaged in what's happening. You can't be present, and you can't, you can't be there for your child in the way
Yeah.
that you could if you weren't. And if you can, if you say that you can, then you've drank so much that it doesn't even affect you anymore,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you don't even realize the difference your life is when you didn't have it.
Yeah. It's astonishing just to think that you know just parents that drink every day. And I'm sorry, you're never at 100%.
Listen,
And as you get older,
listen,
you're really not at 100% because you don't recover the same.
yeah. And you don't know the type of alcoholic you are is totally different. Some people are just kind of like that dopey sort of like haha sort of alcoholic. They're just kind of annoying. And then there's the violent alcoholics too.
Mm-hmm.
My mom grew up in a household with a father who was a violent alcoholic. She loved her dad. He
Mm-hmm.
was great to her when he wasn't drinking. But when he was, all hell broke loose.
Yeah.
He beat them, all three of them, beat
Yeah.
them into submission, just terrified them. My
Yeah.
grandmother, same thing, beat my grandmother to the point at which she ended up leaving. My mom didn't really carry a relationship with her father past that. I didn't really know my grandfather at all. He would stop by around birthdays or Christmas, usually drunk. He would drop a present off, and that would be that.
Yeah.
But I never really got to know him because of that, and that was sad. Casey right now doesn't have a relationship with her parents. Why? Because they're both alcoholics, and
Yeah.
they don't even realize it. She's tried to explain it to them over the years. They don't get it because they make drinking alcohol the priority instead
Yeah.
of establishing a better relationship with their family. So over time, it will destroy your relationship with your kids. It does, whether you realize it or not. Whether you think like you're a fun alcohol, like whatever. If you're over consuming alcohol, you're not treating your family the right way, and it's obvious in the way that you treat them. And just ask them; they'll tell you. They'll
Mm-hmm.
tell you. You might not realize it, but they'll tell you because it's destroying your relationship day by day by day to the point at which you end up getting cut off, and then later in life you don't have those relationships anymore.
Oh yeah. And listen, my 12-year-old, well, she knows when we go places if there's people drinking. She knows instantaneously. You know what I mean. It's just it's a instant giveaway to those that don't drink to know which ones are drinking and which ones are not.
Yeah.
The scary part of alcoholism, like you said, there's the violent junks, and the thing that scares me the most about alcoholism and those that are just because what happens with alcoholism, and like I said, I've seen it in my family. What it does is it sinks its teeth into you, and it doesn't let go. And what
Yep.
happens is it controls your everyday life. Every
Yes.
decision that you make is around your next drink. Unfortunately, because that's what it does. Because what people don't understand is it's a disease. It is 100% a disease, right? Alcoholism is a disease. It's just like having cancer or having, um,
Hmm.
I don't know, give me another disease. I don't know, um, anything. It could be anything. But
Yeah.
what happens is in experiences that I've seen and been around alcoholics in my that I know, the thing that makes me the most sad is because it takes full control of their life, they don't understand what they're doing because it controls them so much that they become liars. You become a when you're you become a huge and then you start to
Hmm.
just the lies become more lies on top of lies. And then what I've seen from experiences is then you end up lying for no reason, right? Because you're just lying just to lie because you don't know anything because you need to make up a lie to cover the last lie that you said. But then the problem is you don't
Hmm.
remember the lie that you said. So you just make something up and it continues to spiral down out of control and you lie. And the other thing that I don't know that the alcoholism that I've experienced in my life is the alcoholics that I've known, they are they are hiding. They try to hide it. But when you don't drink
Yeah.
and someone is, you know that they're hiding it. But they don't think it. They think they can outsmart you by hiding. And that, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? They hide the alcohol. They hide it under something. They hide it here. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? They're always,
Yep.
you know, throwing 10
Yeah.
breath mints in their mouth thinking you're not going to smell the alcohol, right? But
Yeah.
they become
Not
liars,
going to realize that they've got
Yep.
vodka in their water bottle.
Yeah.
Like.
They become pathological liars. And the saddest part
Mhm.
is they don't know it. And and I will say this, you will only get help if you want the help. That's what it comes down to.
Yes. Hmm.
Nobody can force you because we tried it with members of my family before. If you try to force somebody, it's not going to work. Just like getting out of debt or any situation, trying to get healthy again, you have to kind of have that I've had it moment where you just get mad, right? You get angry,
Yeah.
and something has to click, right? When it comes to getting out of debt, you got to get mad and say, "That's it." The famous line is, I've had it" moment, right? When you look in the
Hmm.
mirror one day and you're 200 pounds or 60 pounds overweight because you've been a lazy shit, and you haven't done anything, and the only excuse is you've been a lazy shit. Like you just get mad at yourself, and and anger like
Hmm.
that can be driven in the right form. Can be drive you motivationally.
Yeah. Yeah. And listen, alcohol is a very hard thing to break when you're there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like it's not just as simple as, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore. To some people, yeah, they can do that,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can cut cold turkey on your own. But a lot of people, when they've been doing this a long time and they've got a disorder, they can't do it on their own. They need those support groups. And somebody in our family who went through it, they did exactly what you were talking about. They're hiding it. They're hiding it in their vehicle, in the engine compartment of their vehicle, because they thought
Yeah.
nobody would ever find it. And we
Yeah.
did. People found it.
Yeah.
Um, he's sober now, and that's an amazing thing. But he goes to meetings all the time,
You have to. You
all
have
the
to stay
time.
on it.
It's a lifelong battle to
Mm.
try and fight, because, like you said, it is a disease. It's not just a habit.
Yeah.
It's a disease. It's got addictive qualities to it.
Oh, for
That
sure.
you know,
You're an addict. You're an
there's a
addict.
reason. Yes, there's a reason people, uh, get hooked on it so fast. And there's a reason that these companies make it, and they make it so easy to get everywhere.
It
So,
would it wouldn't it
um,
wouldn't be it wouldn't be our show if we didn't just mention one thing about finances. It's expensive to be an alcoholic. That's the other thing. Think of the money
yeah,
you would have in your bank account
it
if you
is.
didn't fucking drink. Because you can't go to the store anymore and buy anything for fucking $2 or $3. Dude, it's like fucking
No,
expensive.
yeah, it's really expensive. Except, I mean, I'm sure there's some alcoholics out there right now who are praising things because Bud Light's basically giving away beer. Now they're
Yeah.
actually giving you more credit than it actually costs you, so you can make money by drinking their beer right now.
Hmm.
So some people somewhere are probably thrilled to death about it. But yeah, I mean, you go like, geez, you go and try and buy some hard alcohol. Whew, you break the bank doing that. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
You got to budget that shit in all day.
Oh man, it'll bust your budget in a hurry.
But we could also say
Oof.
there's probably a lot of alcoholics out there that don't budget anyway. So,
I wonder what the correlation is between alcoholics and people who are like who have like a ton of debt.
or
I
or or
wonder,
just or
I
just
wonder if there's
financial
any alcoholics that don't have debt.
what's the correlation from alcoholism and financial responsibility? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
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 for
it'd be an
financial, maybe not
interesting thing to
responsibility,
look at.
financial discipline in alcoholism.
Yeah,
Because listen, because
I
there's tons
doubt
of
there's
really
any.
there's tons of really rich people that drink a lot, but they don't care because they're really rich, so it don't matter. You know what I mean? But I mean like
Yeah, true,
people
true.
that are living paycheck to paycheck, correlation to alcoholism. Because you could
Yeah,
argue that you don't make
yeah,
enough money, so you drink to try to fucking overcome. You know what I mean? It's just
yeah. It's true.
the
It's probably
revolving
pretty
door.
high.
But anyways, guys, that in today's book recommendation, you got anything else before I jump to the book recommendation?
Nope, good.
Okay. So the book recommendation today is a book that I read a long time ago. And I brushed up on it this week because I knew this was gonna be the episode. And it is called Running. I'm trying to get the light here. Running Rant. Can you see it? Is it too bright?
No, too bright.
How about
Turn it. Pivot it. There you go.
So
that's it.
Running Ransom Road by Caleb Daniloff. Okay. I read this book a while ago. Confronting the Past, one marathon at a time. So this is a really good book. If you know, I mean, it's really hard to. Hey, you're an alcoholic. Read this book, and you're going to become a marathon runner. That's not the easiest way to approach somebody with this book. But I think this is a book. If you know someone that is a recovering alcoholic, it either will take them to a dark place or it'll take them to a place of strength. So the point of this book is this guy named Caleb Daniloff. He was a alcoholic, an extremely, extremely bad alcoholic. All the characteristics, like we've mentioned, hiding it, doing this, losing jobs over it. And then the thing that I love most about this book, true story, is he fell in love and he realized how good of a runner he was. And he used running as the catalyst to stop drinking, because they don't correlate. You cannot be a full blown alcoholic and also be an elite runner. You just can't, because your body's never there. Your body's never in tune with what's going on. So he discovered that he loved to run. And then so what he did as part of his, path to sober, becoming sober, which he's been sober forever now, all the cities that he lived in and all those haunted places of his past, he would go and run a marathon in that city and like raise awareness about alcohol and sober. So like wherever he was drunk or he was an addict or an abuser, whatever those cities were, he changed himself from all those words to becoming a runner. And then he went back and fought and exercised all those demons back in those towns. It turned out to be a pretty good runner too. So it's really good. Running Ransom Road by Caleb Daniloff.
Perfect tie-in for today.
So that's episode 64. Dave, take us home. It is the dog days of summer. We will be back again next week with another episode. Let's get out of here, dude.
Yeah, continue to live the full force life. If you're enjoying the content, share it with as many people as you can. Tell other fathers about it so we can get the word out. Brett's going to keep pushing along on phase 3 here. Hopefully he doesn't fail, because he'll have to go back to the start of 75 hard. We'll keep you updated next week.